listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough road ahead. Or rough roads ahead. I still have the holiday edition up there. Well, people are off today. Today's what the constructed holiday day off. People that normally get off for holidays are going to be off today because, like federal employees and even the people here, because they didn't get their holiday day. So people that work in my apartment complex are off. It's holiday for them. So we're still in the holiday edition. Government workers are sitting at home with their coffee, dialing into my internet, figuring out how they can hack me, that type of thing. So obviously, there are people at Twitter, there are people at Google, there are people at Facebook, there are people in GM, there are people at whatever corporation, and they are corrupt and they are criminal. Although we're in a very psychotic location with that type of crime because they are the holier than thou. They are the beast making everything well. And if they have to cause violence, again, a CIA type of mentality, a KGB, GRU, FSB, whatever you want to call it, Mossad mentality, that they know what's best. But when you look at it, what they're actually doing is enriching themselves and engaging in crime and causing other criminals to exist to take the focus off of themselves and then to market their capabilities also, that they can change the world for you so the world sees you as a savior. So we have the accusation going at social media. The Republicans run the same thing. Fox News has something similar. And there are others also. Town hall. We look at these people that are in town hall. What is it, RSB or whatever? They have all the conservative this and that, and liberals have the same thing. They're spycraft operators. You'll say, well, that person went to Yale and they earned their way. No, they didn't. Even getting to the university today, you can be put out of a university so their children can get in. They had a big FBI case where they arrested somebody. That's one in a million people that bribe their way into school. And some of it's just secret society. You got to be part of the secret society to get in. Then there's a few slots left. Blah. Whoa! Have fun in hell today, all of you. There's a few slots left over for everybody else's children, and they can fight for it because their children aren't as good as our children. And it isn't necessarily the traditional rich people, because they do bring in people outside. When you're looking for that type of psychosis, that type of sociopath, that type of hate, you have to really look around to find it. Otherwise, you'll let somebody in that will simply speak about it. So again, Jonathan Luna was killed by something such as that. There are others. Well, they were protecting someone. Now, there's a possibility that off of that even the closest of friends to Jonathan Luna were paid afterwards and given good life. Saying, see, it's not that bad. There's a lot of, it's either you go the way of John Luna or you do what we say. So when we look at some of these FBI cases of the agents having issues, these people are sitting in social media and they don't have to be there. They can sit in GM security and do the same thing. All they have to have is a CIA toolkit type of app, and they don't need the CIA toolkit to do it. I mean, they have money. They can buy one. They can buy a team of people that do that. So when we have pedophiles in GM, we have pedophiles in Facebook, we have pedophiles in Twitter, what are they going to do? They're going to focus everybody on the other pedophiles. This is a form of psychology, which I call it, I guess, kind of Munchausen by proxy, but a little different. So we go to that case in Eastern Texas. I know it's in Eastern Texas. I know it's in Louisiana, the corruption that causes people to fall. Do I know for sure that the FBI agents were inclined to do that naturally? No, I don't know that. But I know it's there, and it's very strange what happened. So here's the scenario. I guess we could call it not a psychological hypothesis. I guess a psychological hypothesis on their psychology, but also an investigative hypothesis. Uh, we have people that are obsessed with that kind of power. Again, it's a form of anti-power. Again, it's Jezebel, it's Delilah, it's the beast, it's the antichrists. Now, again, they'll tell you, well, you're supporting Trump. No, Trump runs the same thing. So again, the Republicans are going to lash out at this thing, but yet they run the same thing from somewhere else. So they're moving around, and what are they doing? They're using forbidden fruit from these social media organizations, from their spycraft entities. You know, the Koch brothers had it. Everybody has it. And what it is the beast. Again, spycraft is the beast. And what they're doing is, and it includes witchcraft. So again, it's the physical spycraft is the physical manifestation and the physical pattern of behavior of witchcraft. Satan, Satan incarnate is what it is, manipulating all these other people to become the being that they want them to be. So again, they're Satan incarnate, as I spoke many times over the decades. So they're moving around seeing who everybody is in the law enforcement entity. And what you would think, well, this person is that person that they're attacking and they knew they could sexualize. Not at all. They're picking out who would not be corrupt, who would not accept the beast. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't accept the beast and you're still in a federal agency or a state agency or local agency, you are at risk. And don't tell yourself that you're not at risk. You're at risk. The first thing they do is apply stress, extreme levels, high levels of stress, while isolating their victim. I told you years ago, Marilyn Monroe said she could be in a room full of people and still feel alone, isolated. Spies were killing her. They hated probably the lot of them. They hated Kennedy. They hated her. So now it's even grown. It has this reach through the internet, and they're in our communities. We have people in Google working here. I don't know who else is here. And they'll do whatever the boss says to have that huge home one day. And even people in the public will do it. And they can also be manipulated by their AI, by their movements to hate a specific person. Now, it is also in missing and exploited children. Now you see how dangerous it is. Because it's not really going after pedophiles per se. They select what pedophiles it goes after, or what pedophiles it creates to cover the other pedophiles. And if the officer investigates the only pedophiles that they tell them to investigate, then they get up and they get money and they have party life. And one day they could be living in Silicon Valley. No, they're not destroying the lives of pedophiles. They're destroying the lives of their victims. And if they could make them pedophiles, they would do it. So we go back to East Texas and Louisiana. Now, I agree with Danielle Marks. We have that in federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies. How do I know? Well, people have spoken about it, and that's what was going on in our courthouse. That was going on in the federal buildings, these type of things. So I know it exists. But I don't agree to one of them being selected to be sexualized into something such as pedophilia or violence. So again, it's the same thing as investigating Trump. I said, yes, the indications are here that Trump needs to be investigated. His people need to be investigated for ties to Russia. But I don't agree getting into that particular case through corrupt methods or using corrupt methods while in the case. Because that's how you fail a case, even metaphysically. Even if you get forward, you can't fix the problem because you are part of the problem at that point. And that's what we have going on in Missing Exploited and everywhere else. But it's a huge fantasy because, again, they've got people there, and those teachers that they were using, they were pedophiles. And that was the trigger, that if they were a pedophile, hey, you can save yourself if you do what we say. And they go throughout the community attempting to create pedophiles, isolate people, try to cause suicide, if not pedophilia, all sorts of nasty, crazy things that aren't so crazy as far as being real, but crazy as far as who they are and what they're doing. They're causing disability. They're causing psychological lapse of judgment. That's what spycraft is, but that's who Satan is. You see, they've taken over the churches. They will say who can go to the church and who's unsafe in a church. And meanwhile, what happens? The churches become unsafe. And then again, any unsafety in the church at a certain level may have been them physically causing it. Now, they'll say, well, these are law enforcement. These are CIA. They know what they're doing. Remember, the people that are paying them to do that are not law enforcement, are not CIA or spycraft. So Bob disappears. They did it. Why? Somebody paid. How it works. Again, it's based upon wealth, really. Yeah, you can be in there. Like I said, 80% of the time they get to work their cases they want to work. And this is amazing. We have this amazing network. Da-da-da-da. And then 20% of the time it's corruption. Is it real? No, not at all. It's crime in its root. It's Satan. So we go back to that location. And I believe quite possibly somebody was psychotic about romantic relationships in the workplace, right? I'm kind of spiritually hearing that Danielle Marks would be against anything outside of legal framework in remedying the issue. And we do believe we have people that will say, hey, yes, we're going to take care of this, and they take care of it the wrong way, and then you have it all over again. You actually have something worse. So again, let's say somebody's against sexual relationships in the workplace. That one comes to light, even in the news. And that guy turns out to have been a pedophilia or a pedophile. I don't believe that person went into the FBI looking to become a pedophile or have sex with everyone or sex with one person or whatever it was. So what is that? I told you, when you go in, you're going to look at everybody else and they're going to set a standard for you. That standard is set so one day they can come in and manipulate you into a criminal or try to kill you. So Jonathan Luna theoretically made some mistakes in his life. He wasn't interested in staying in government, so I don't see it necessarily being suicidal. The missing money, why haven't they found it? This is not somebody that really had much capability to hide that money. I was there. The way they work you over, you're not going to have that mindset. If you physically saw him pay somebody, I'd say, yeah. Did he hide the money and you can't find it? Maybe, but I doubt it. So what do I think happened? They stole the money. You see how that works? But they're stealing the money for what reason? To get rid of this Jonathan Luna character that doesn't belong in law enforcement. Why? Because he's not a Nazi. He doesn't hate people. He doesn't want to twist law enforcement into something criminal. Yeah, does he do some wrong things? Correct. So again, what are they doing? They're taking the focus off of the real criminal and trying to create a criminal in an innocent victim. Believe me, I shouldn't care about Jonathan Luna to a certain degree, if my investigative hypothesis is true. So again, this is no selfish thing in it. Although, again, one of the things they do is make you one of the victims so that they can say it's selfish. I began investigating something that appeared. Now, I agreed at a certain point that, hey, I'll walk off, you'll walk off. I'll live my life, you'll live yours. And I think that may have been what they were kind of promoting through spycraft psychology and manipulation. They didn't let it happen. I mean, it was when I look back, it's just hard. I mean, you talk about Jezebel, you talk about Delilah, you talk about the beast, you talk about King Asa. I mean, they had one person that was harming me, and then the other person was my friend. So again, good cop, bad cop, but to the level of what we would say, those movies, those psychodramas, how sick and bizarre they are. That's how they live. They're a walking, talking, psychotic psychodrama. And again, Republicans aren't going to clean anything up. They're going to focus you on the other side and tell you that's where it is, like they did in 2010. Facebook, Twitter, they owe me millions of dollars. They'll go, well, look what you said. Look what I said. And then look what I said after years and years of torture. Facebook tortures people. I'll tell you that. Facebook is an arm of psychological torture. Twitter is an arm of psychological torture. Google is an arm of psychological torture. But what they'll tell you is that they're protecting everyone. Again, where do we see that? Nazi Germany. No, and they're not all conservatives. That's obvious. No, they're not all liberals. That's obvious. When I was on Facebook, and they may have been using direct energy because of the way it was affecting me, but it could have been psychology. They would put I go to post something, and they put these long, drawn out paragraphs that I know are not messages that they're sending to everyone else. It would be like a message, a warning message. It was bizarre. It's just like the Social Security letter I got the other day. I mean, it could be real. People might receive those kind of letters, but it's bizarre. It's almost like they got caught not allowing my direct deposit to go in, and they're trying to explain it away as a normal process within Social Security. Oh, they say, well, this is all to protect the community. Well, we understand now. We understand now. Give me a bigger car, a bigger house, a new swimming pool. So again, that's what we see going on. So we go back to East Texas. We go back to Louisiana. That officer was most likely caused to be that. Now, there are different people in this thing, different cells. There's another cell that's trying to extort Louisiana law enforcement and East Texas law enforcement into doing whatever they want. Don't let them tell you it's just one little boo 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 boo. It's huge. So they sex up those communities and they watch them, which is illegal in itself. You're not allowed to sex up a community as a private eye and then watch them. But yet, who are they? They're the wealthy people. Trump, Google, McCarthy, Facebook, etc. So what they're looking for is an extortion mechanism. Put somebody in prison, have somebody commit suicide, a strange murder, and then every other officer says, you're going to give me money if I don't say anything and I do what you want? Fine. But I don't have a strange suicide in my life. I don't have a strange murder in my life. I don't have disability. I don't have a sex crime. It sounds great. So what they are doing now is causing that in the lives of the other people. So does Trump control all of law enforcement? No. Does Trump probably control at least 50% of law enforcement? No. Probably at this point, no, I would say he does. He does. He probably controls 50% of law enforcement. But what's the deal? His system has to be functioning for those people to do it. But they're already tainted. They've already been destroyed. They're already useless to law enforcement because they're not working for law enforcement. They're working for themselves. There are a small percentage of people that do not work for that, but they could end up, 3 of them could end up dead in Chicago today. Quote unquote suicide. Now, one of the tricks about that is that there's a bunch of slicksters out there in law enforcement, and they're going to report to the big that this person has to be taken out. But in actuality, that person's psychotic, and they want that person taken out. So all they have to do is report back to the big, the crime boss, whether it be a lieutenant, a captain, a SAC, a governor, a mayor, that person is not going to allow our system to exist. And then they'll kill that person. Over and over again, as long as the reports come back that person is not going to accept their system. Again, what is it? Mark of the beast. So did Jonathan Luna go to his death not accepting the mark of the beast, albeit not being a devout Christian? Or even, I don't even know, I guess he was some sort of Christian. Most people that would grow up in his life psychologically would be some level of Christian. Maybe it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Maybe he hasn't had time to think that much about it, which would make him a certain level of spiritual blind. But he went to the death not accepting the mark of the beast. What he was speaking about to his cousin and his family was the fact that he knew the mark of the beast existed in Baltimore government and maybe the entire government. And it's not something he wanted to be part of. Now, the kicker is that conversation that's in that YouTube video from his cousin, I think it was heard by spies while he spoke at real time because he had his phone that FBI issued him or someone else issued him. See? So they knew that John was not going to accept the mark of the beast. Me, I couldn't even see it. All I knew is something was attacking me, the courthouse, and it kept trying to. Now I can see it to a certain degree. It was attempting to appear to be an investigation, but was not. So they have a certain operation that they use to discredit the person, handle that issue, and they used it. But what is it? It's crime. It's not even you can't handle the truth because it doesn't keep us safer. Not at all. Every year they use that, our country, our nation, and our world degrade. But what's God doing in return? Wreaking havoc financially, destroying safety, because it's all BS. You're all creating a safe, wealthy world for yourselves while denying everyone else anything so they cannot buy and sell but for the agreement of these people. Now, they're not large enough because you may have a good family. I didn't have a good family. I didn't even realize how rotten my family was. I had nobody to support me in life when they did this. I think if I had been aware, I could have. My wife was calling for help in something I didn't understand. She appeared to be aware to a certain degree, but she wasn't intelligent enough to understand what to do. Now, their changes in psychology are fundamentally sublime. It just boggles the mind that any activity such as that is allowed from anybody without that person being thrown in prison for at least 10 years on criminal conspiracy charge. So again, McCarthy's going to save us from something that he's running also. So what do we see? Gangland warfare. Oh, but we're white collar crime. It's past white collar crime. There's no such thing as white collar murder. I'll tell you that. That's what they're trying to present it as. White collar murder. Tidy, clean, protecting everyone. Mafia families, that's who they are. And they don't have to be, there's Jewish mafia, there's Latino mafia, there's Ethiopian mafia. So again, these are the things that are going on. I'm playing the weather game here. I'm trying to figure out what day to depart here and move on up to Kansas City. Now you have to also understand that within this thing are people moving narcotics. We got to the point where the daughter of a DEA agent was dealing narcotics. Got to wonder what that was and how that was manipulated. A lot of things are said at breakfast. Never in veiled language, I imagine. Something I didn't see for 40 years of my life. Well, I would say like 39 and 9 months. Or something like that. It was like 40 years to the day of conception. God made sure it was exactly that. Just so that Moses' inclination would be there. So again, people do it for various reasons, psychological pressure, payment. So we go back to Louisiana, we go back to Eastern Texas. And there's a bunch of cases now to clean up corruption. What is that? Corruption's there. It's just, that's the scam. Like, oh, now, see, we're cleaning up corruption now. It's not real. Because they'll say, well, look, we cleaned up corruption over here. We worked a sex cult case over here. So we're not the sex cult, right? So again, that's the other part of it. It's a sex cult. Maybe not in entirety. Some of the people they use are so whacked about sexuality that they can't handle anything and anybody. And as soon as you point them in a certain direction, and they might be directing it, they kill people. So in other words, they can't get away with doing it to the deep staters. And the term deep stater, again, is not political. It's in every segment of society today. So that person is psychotic, and they say, go after that person, and they know not to go after the other person because they get spanked. So again, it's like a rabid dog. And that's what we also have in Missing Exploited. That's one of our biggest troubles. That they're protecting the big pedophile. Well, no, they're small pedophiles they protect. It's psychotic. It doesn't have a balanced form. It's the same thing as Pilate and Herod and, passing the buck back and forth and crucifying Jesus. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. More to come on this holiday edition on the official Christmas Day off.